with this update. Just generally speaking, I'd like to pick your brains on what you get out of this 11 o'clock update.
Yeah, so I think two things in particular. The first is I found the forecast discussion really interesting. Previously, the Central Pacific Hurricane Center had expected that the storm would potentially, so back up. So sea surface temperatures control the strength of the storm. So the storm weakened as it moved over cooler temperatures, but then they expected that it might strengthen a bit when it moved over warmer waters again, but that it would be encountering wind shear, which would cause it to weaken. But it appears as though the warmer sea surface temperatures are kind of winning the fight and keeping the storm a little bit stronger longer than they had expected. So that was one of the key points in the updated track, is that it stays as a Category 1 storm for longer. The second key point that jumps out to me is that it is a bit of a change in terms of maintaining its strength, but I also see it as, so that cone, the boundaries where the white lines are, those are lines that say the center of the storm has a 66% chance of being within those boundaries. But you still feel impacts outside of the storm, outside of those white lines. And so to me, it is a bit of a change, but it's not that big of a change. You always have to hope for the best, but expect and prepare for the worst. And so I hope that, all along people have been preparing, because a few miles per hour one way or the other and a track change one way or the other, the possibility was there the whole time. This does make it a little bit more likely that there will be stronger winds felt. I think the chance for tropical storm force winds here in Honolulu jumped from, say, like 50 to 69, I think. And so we do have higher probabilities of stronger winds, but I feel like it was kind of there all along. We just needed to hope for the best and plan and prepare for the worst.
Yeah. And with the situation with this system, I've noticed that, and I was talking to Howard earlier, the track has been pretty good. I mean, there's been nudges in the track, but they've been, just slight nudges to the north, which is fine. But there's a little bit more. The intensity's been a little bit challenging.
Yeah, I feel like every forecast update we've seen, it does kind of nudge a little bit north, but the discussions keep referring to this jump westward that they're seeing in the forecast models, and that jump westward seems to be really important for whether or not Oahu and Kauai are at higher risk. And so I keep hoping that the next one will keep moving northward. That's the best case scenario at this point, but I think we will see continued weakening. It's just not happening as quickly as we would like.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's a really good point that you make. If you really wanted to, we haven't seen that weakening that we had hoped for or even expected, but you're right though. If we're gonna get any help, it's gonna be from the nudging, that slow nudging, hopefully, of the entire cone of uncertainty to the north, away from the islands. That's a really good way to put that, because I mean, sometimes myself included, very guilty. I focus on track and intensity, especially intensity. And if that northward jog continues, then the impacts might be minimized. I do want to remaining at its current strength, and they say, quote, despite the vertical wind shear, Douglas is expected to only slowly weaken as it comes dangerously close to the Hawaiian Islands. This is primarily due to steadily increasing sea surface temperatures, which we discussed a little bit earlier, among the forecast track, and is also likely due to the fact that most of the shear is in the upper levels. I found that kind of interesting, that there's a lack of shear in the mid-levels, but there's also a lack of the fact that most of the shear is in the upper levels. Can you shed some light on that with the different levels of shear? What you can tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So wind shear is different wind speeds and directions at different altitudes. And so if you have a storm that extends in the vertical, it's the lower and the mid-levels that are controlling the direction of movement. And what that's referring to is it's just at the very top layer that there is wind shear, or some wind kind of pushing the top level of the storm over to try to break it apart. It would be much, much better if the wind shear, or the difference in wind speed and direction, were at middle levels, closer to the bottom of the storm. It's kind of like, if someone pushes you, it's better if they push you where your center of mass is, where most of your body is. You feel it more. And I think one point that I want to bring up is that the part of the problem with this cone of influence is that the storm could take that northward line or the southward line, and those are huge differences. They're incredibly different in terms of the impacts that would be felt. So wind speed is strongest right around the eye of the storm, and then it rapidly drops off away from there. But rainfall is a little bit different. Sometimes storms have bands or rain band structures, and so that's a little bit harder to say. But the wind impacts are highly, highly, highly dependent on the track of the storm, and we will certainly feel some sort of wind impact. But whether that storm is on the northward side of the cone of influence or the southward side makes a really big difference. And so I think people should prepare and plan for the storm taking that southward track, and hope that it doesn't.
Just a quick, eyeballing some of the forecast models, those lines that you see, it represents each one of the models, and there are numerous models that people use. I will say, because we were discussing forecast models earlier, that the Central Pacific Hurricane Center has stated that the GFS and the Euro model are just left of the official forecast, making potentially a more impactful scenario for Kauai County and Oahu. Take that for what it is. A lot of weight in this particular storm has been put into the Euro model because it's been the most accurate. But both the Euro model and GFS leaning just left of the official forecast, and that would potentially mean a closer. Would that mean a closer track to the main Hawaiian Islands?
So just to check, when you say just left, are you referring to that kind of white and bluish line that are outside of the cone of influence?
No, that's a different model. That's the CMC and the CEMI. I don't have the outside. I don't have the line. This computer cannot put the line for the Euro. It's not one of those options that you can check. We have it. We can show it graphically, but it's not included in the line, I believe. So
you're just saying that the ECMWF and the GFS model are kind of towards the southern side of that.
Yes.
That
quote, suggesting a more potentially impactful scenario for Kauai County and Oahu. Well,
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We can just, hope and pray and that it jogs to the north. We still have, a very small amount of time, a little window of change until our next update, which is going to be at 5 o'clock in the morning. But that's where we stand. I mean, again, the message of preparation, as Dr. Allison Nugent has mentioned numerous times throughout these forecast discussions on KHON, is to be prepared for any scenario, good or bad. And so that's really, I think, I agree with you, that's the main takeaway in all this, don't you think?
Yeah, there's kind of an equal chance for both. It's all within the possibility, all within the cone of of the possibilities. And so, it's just just gotta prepare, because you just don't know which one it'll be, but they're equally plausible.
Yeah, we're gonna wake up tomorrow, could jog to the north, could jog to the south, who knows? We'll find out, I guess, in less than 6 hours. Hey, is there any other graphic that you want to meet?
I think is less dependent on the track. I think we're likely to see heavy rainfall regardless, but the wind is really dependent on the track. And so, to me, when I think of the wind impacts, I really want to know which one will be correct. But how about the earliest arrival time, so we can see what times we can expect to see winds at certain locations?
Yeah, you know what? I have to plot that out, but let me just tell you, I'm just gonna dictate it to you out based on the website. So if you give me a second, then I will do that for you. Here we go. Takes a few. You know what? Let's take a break. Yeah, let's take a break, and then you can pull it up on your computer, and I'll pull it up on mine, and we can discuss it. Storm force winds for the state, or certain portions of the state, and I have the graph pulled up here, but it's a very simple graph that just shows it by color. So the darker violets and the reds are about a 90 to 100 to even down to 80 or 70% chance of tropical storm force winds. So this is the area that I'm talking about here. Maybe my pointer right here. This is the strongest chance, or the highest chance, for tropical storm force winds. The outer areas here are around 10 to 20% to 30%. So if you can just use the colors to visualize what we're talking about right now. Dr. Allison Nugent, did you have your information up on that as well?
I have it in front of me, but I'm not able to share it with you.
Okay, no problem. We can talk about
One thing that I'm not a fan of that graphic is it appears to be over a certain time frame, because it doesn't extend beyond, like the Central Pacific Hurricane Center graphic does. So it seems a little bit misleading.
Well, it's take for example, this is Sunday at 1 p.m.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it goes forward in time, and then we can go backwards in time. So, I mean,
I see. Okay.
Let's take Oahu. If you look at Oahu at 9 p.m. tomorrow night, there's a timestamp up on top. At 9 p.m. tomorrow night, there is about, I would say, a 70 to a 90+% chance that Oahu, or at least parts of Oahu, will have winds anywhere, and it's a big widespread, 39 to 73 mile per hour tropical storm force winds. That's reverse for Maui County, and the high percentages for Molokai, as well as Maui County and Lanai. Not so bad for the Big Island, though. We're only talking about at noon tomorrow, about a 10 to 30% chance of tropical storm force winds, and on Kauai it's up there as well. So visually, without plotting the percentages, and that's what I'm looking at least on my end. Have you had a chance to see the numbers for yourself?
Yeah, so it looks like for Maui, the earliest reasonable arrival times for tropical storm force winds is Sunday, tomorrow, 8 a.m. For Oahu, it's around Sunday, 2 p.m. And then for Kauai, it's Sunday, 8 p.m. And that's the earliest possible. So you shouldn't feel tropical storm force winds before those times that I said.
So for Maui,
just to give people a sense of when to expect, or when to have your final preparations done.
Okay, that's great intel. Can we talk about that again for Maui? What time were the onset of tropical storm force winds?
Yeah, so the times that I'm saying are the earliest possible times from the CPHC website. And for Maui, it's Sunday, 8 a.m.
Okay, hold on.
For Oahu, it's Sunday, 2 p.m.
I just want to focus on Maui. So Maui is the beginning. 8 a.m. is the beginning. And let's see, let's try to slowly plot the duration for Maui to get back down to about 30 to 20%. It's going to be around 9, maybe 10 o'clock at night to get down to those lower values, maybe even after that. Do you see that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a really good point, because once they start, people will want to know how long they'll last, or when they'll be over. Okay. That's a great point.
Okay, so let's do it for Oahu right now. What time are you thinking there?
Okay, so Oahu, earliest reasonable according to the CPHC is Sunday 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Right, already on it. Okay.
Yep.
So, how long is this going to last for the potential for tropical storm force winds? Let's see. Let's go forward in time. Oh, this is going to be well into the night. I would say to be in the clear. It's 6 a.m. on Monday. Yeah.
Okay, and then last but very much not least, Kauai, Sunday 8 p.m. according to the CPHC, earliest reasonable arrival times of tropical storm force winds.
And I have it on 8 p.m. there. And so at this point, it might be a little bit faster in forward motion, this tropical cyclone, but here it is. It starts at 8 p.m. according to data pulled up by Dr. Allison Nugent, and it looks like the chances of tropical storm force winds will be there through 2 in the afternoon on Monday. Okay. So Kauai, you would say, because it's farthest from the storm, has a little bit more time to prepare, obviously, versus Oahu and Kauai.
Yeah, Big Island, you should already be ready. Maui, same for you. Oahu, I guess you can go out in the morning and get some stuff if you need. Kauai, you do have some time tomorrow, Sunday, to finish your preparations.
Yeah, if you wanted to really avoid those tropical storm force winds. So, Oahu residents, if there's any last-minute preparations that you need to do, or if you need to run to the store for any last-minute supplies, it will be ASAP. It will be at the crack of dawn, so to speak. And then Kauai has...
Go first thing.
Yeah, first thing. Unless you go to a 24-hour store like, Target or something like that. That's, they're still open. And Kauai has another half day, pretty much. Okay, that's very interesting. We now know a little bit of the timeline that what we're dealing with. I found it very interesting how you said, hey, regardless of the new numbers today or this evening, the rain is always going to be there. The big question mark was how strong the winds were going to be. I think that's a very, very good point. If you haven't seen the track already and the intensity of Hurricane Douglas remains at a Category 1 with 90-mile-per-hour winds, and it appears from this latest intensity forecast we're going to have a Category 1 straight from east of the Big Island to west of Kauai. Final thoughts, Dr. Allison Nugent, before we let you go?
You put me on the spot. I guess final thoughts, I always feel really strongly that it's really important to understand the graphics that you're receiving. And so I really recommend each of you viewers that are watching, just Google CPHC Douglas, go to the Central Pacific Hurricane Center website, find the storm, look into some of the graphics that they have. They're really, really helpful, and it does take a little bit of learning to understand what's there, but it's worth it, and that's your best source. Second choice is KHON, of course. CPHC is where we even get our information, and so you don't have to wait for us. You can go straight to the source.
Yeah, they are the official government source and agency. This is what they do, and our job is to relay their message and sometimes do a little bit analysis of the science, and that's why we have you with us, and that's why we appreciate.
Yeah, we can interpret, we can help you to understand, and that's our job, but they provide the first source of information. And so if you go there and you have a look and you say, oh, I'm not sure what this means, then you can tune into KHON and learn a bit more. Yeah. But yeah, it's always good to be able to get your own information as well.
Well, you have a long day tomorrow. You're going to be back with Kelly Simic, I heard, at 9 o'clock?
So my colleague Giuseppe Torri will be with her at 8 a.m. and I will be with her at 9 a.m.
Got it. All right, sounds good. And then be back with us at night, right?
Yep, of course.
Okay. Hoping for some good news in the future updates. Get some rest, and thank you so much for joining us and giving us some expert analysis. Thanks a lot. Dr. Allison.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.